concert tickets.
Yeah, like what do you
Like,
deem?
I don't do general admission no more. Like I would much rather spend the extra $300 or whatever and get a VIP pass because the VIP experience is so much better.
And I'll be right there next to you with that. Guess what? No wristband next to me. I'll be right next to you in VIP, dog. With no wristband.
No. You get into GA. You don't get into VIP.
Now,
anyway.
The radio emoji, that's my favorite emoji. All right? That's my favorite emoji. Because I'm going to get in that VIP. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm going to be in there.
Heathen Radio.
Heathen Radio, baby.
My name is Andrew. I'm 34 years old. I'm a member of the Mount Pisgah Seventh-day Adventist Church in Miami Gardens, Florida. I'm here with my co-host, Matt.
Your boy.
How you
Heathen
doing?
himself. Matt. It was good, dog. Yeah, I'm actually here. 34 years old. Name is Matt. Go to Baron Arthur SDA Church in Miami Gardens, Florida. Formerly known as Cow City.
They changed the name?
Yeah, they changed the name of the city, man.
See, that's the problem with like moving to a different coast is like I don't know the history about all these churches. I just know which one I like.
Yeah, that's all you need to know. I'm gonna be honest. You don't really need to know the history, and I think the history kind of clouds the judgment of what you like. You know what I'm saying?
What you mean?
Yeah, you know, sometimes you feel like you're obligated to go to a church because of the history. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like I think people don't realize what they like sometimes because they've been, brainwashed to like a certain thing and they don't know it. You know, like you go to whatever church you like, dog. Like it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter the history of the church. If your grandpappy went there, like just go to the church that you like, man. I think people need to do that with everything in their life, like music, whatever, taste, food, whatever.
Do what you like.
Do what you like. Go where you want. Like do what you want, man. I think a lot of people are like waiting for approval for somebody else. Like, should I go there? Yeah, I could go. Should I go there? Should I do this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, is this where I need to be at? Is this the spot that's popping? Like, bro, like if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Like, you can't force somebody to like it. You can't force somebody to tell you to not like it. You know
I'm realizing in the private sector that like the question of what do you want is it stops people in their tracks, you know, because they're like they never really thought about it,
yeah,
you know, like
people don't ask themselves that enough.
Yeah. What is it that you actually want?
Yeah,
like
people,
start with that, and then let everything else like fill in around that.
But I mean, and it's funny because that answer for that question is one of the hardest questions to answer in life, and it only comes through one thing, and it's something we call experience. You don't know what you want, like, and a lot of people are not really. They're afraid to say they don't know what they want. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the time they'll use the program BS answer that somebody else tells them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they might have heard somebody say what they want,
mm-hmm.
and it's like, all right, I'm gonna use that answer till I know what I want.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, they start living by that answer.
Yeah, right. You don't even get to the second step of figuring out what it is that you actually want.
Yeah, you never really go on that journey because you're recycling this person's answer that you heard that you might look up to or something. It's like you might look up to your mom or your dad or whoever. I don't know, your celebrity, pastor, whoever. And next thing you know, you're adopting their lifestyle and what they want is all of a sudden what you want, and you haven't seen nothing.
Yeah, right.
You haven't seen nothing. And no, like there's only one way to know what you want is to try everything. And people,
maybe not everything, but try as much as you can.
As much as you're willing to try.
Because the thing is like if there's 5 options, okay, and you try option 1. By the time you get to option 3, you're gonna know kind of what you want. You're gonna
know, because it's easy to know what you don't want. I'll tell you that.
Right.
That's actually the easiest part of it. The hardest part is to know what you want. The easiest part is to be, that ain't for me.
Yeah.
Like you do something and it's like, no, I ain't doing that again. That's it. Like this is
thanks.
that's not
no
for me.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's the easy part. The hard part is saying, all right, what actually moves me? What do I actually enjoy doing? Like, I think people, we'd have a lot more happier people
if it just started with what you want.
Started with what they want.
Yes, bro.
Because then they move with intention. They wouldn't be miserable every day waking up, man.
It'd be so much easier. Life would be so much easier if you knew exactly what you wanted,
bro. And that's why COVID was so magical, dog. Because people had a moment to not have anybody tell them what to do.
No distractions.
It's like you really had a chance to sit in that room and look at the wall and be like,
I don't like this job.
I want to do. Yeah, I don't even like this job. Like, bro, everything became clear. It was like fasting for society.
Mm-hmm.
COVID was beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's like fasting and allowing your body to reset.
Yeah.
And figure out like, all right, now that
let me start with me first.
Yeah, now that I don't have to do anything, what do I want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I think people started asking themselves that question. That's what inspired me to become a full-time
You doing it too, man.
That's what inspired me to become a full-time creative.
Like you doing it too, man.
Like I decided to drop everything, man. I always had a backup job. I always had a plan B. I told you I was working 3 jobs at one point. I told you I couldn't even help that last episode I was talking about it. I was volunteering with a church, and I had to tell the director, like, I can't come no more. I got to work 2 jobs, man. I just got a second job and it was doing something I love too. I was working for the radio station doing
that was
photos.
A cool job, man.
Yeah, doing photos for the radio station. I mean, it was a dream job for me at the time. You know, I was around whatever celebrities all the time, doing events, like 3-4 events a week sometimes.
Yeah.
Going to major venues and going backstage and taking pictures, and it was a good time, but it was like,
this ain't what I want to do.
I mean, no, it is what I wanted to do, and I told myself, like, yo, if I didn't have fun doing this job for like part time or whatever, that because you know it was always a hobby for me before then. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did little gigs here and there, but I never really worked for money with photography. Yeah, so when I started doing that job, I said, look, if I don't like this job, that's it. I'm not like I was fully prepared to quit photography altogether because it was taking up a lot of my time, and I was just like,
it takes a lot of time. That's
it's taking up a lot of my time. It's a passion project, you know, and I was just like, I felt like if I was gonna be focused on financial gain, I had to probably let it go. So I was fully ready to quit photography if I didn't like that job at the radio station, and I found a way to love it. Like I actually liked it.
Well, you're good at it, man.
Hey, I appreciate it, man.
Like,
I appreciate
like,
it, dog.
I mean, you see what's on the you see what's on it. Like the reason why I even got this whole thing on here is because like hello, you're like you the one that's got it for me. You know what I mean?
For the listeners, dog, like we're looking at a picture of Andrew at his former job, his former place of employment.
Yeah, it was the distillery in Las Vegas. Yeah. They had a specific chamber that they had all of the stills in that had like amazing lighting and like it's but you know but it's not the place, it's the composition that I love so much about it, man. Let me explain the photo just for the listeners listening. So it's a silhouette of my good friend Legend of Andrew in front of a distillery with bright light shining on what do you call it? These what are those? What kind of tanks are those? Those ones are stills. They're stills.
They're stills? Okay.
Distill
it's a room full of stills. Yeah, pretty much almost like a factory of stills, spotlights.
Very
backlit. It's a silhouette of him, you know, being backlit by the light and the stills.
It's so good, man. The composition was so fantastic.
And I told him to stop there. I said, "Go stand right there." I know exactly. I'm a big fan of silhouettes, though. I love the mystery. I don't like when people get too caught up too much in the person.
Yeah.
I just want them to know that there is a person.
Right.
You know, and I think that even when I take my own like selfies and pictures, believe it or not, like some of my favorite pictures of myself, you don't even know it's me.
You can't even see my face.
You don't even know it's me, bro. You don't even know it's me.
Wow, bro.
Yeah, because it's like I just want you to know that somebody's in the picture. I don't want you to know it's me. I don't want you to get too caught up that it's me.
Well, the composition is so much more important than anything else. Yeah. You know, it's like
the story's a lot better when you're not focusing on a person. In my opinion,
it gives you the opportunity to fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
You know,
because I think we're so ego filled people. Like I think there's so much ego and pride programmed in us, and I think we always want to know what the person's story is. Like we always want to attach something to a person. Or like ourselves or something, but it's just like it's beautiful when there's no person in there. They have this trend on IG, I think, where it's like post the last 6 photos from your camera roll without yourself in it, and that's your vibe. I don't know if you've seen this post, but it's like a trend that goes on.
And they say post,
they say post the last 6 pictures in your camera roll from this month. That's just your vibe. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like it's cool to see those because
you be taking mad pictures too, bro. So I'm sure your vibe.
I don't really do the trend,
authentic.
but I see it all the time, and it's just like, bro, I don't have any pictures of myself. I mean, it's a sad thing.
Well, I mean, that's the life of a photographer, bro.
I don't like to attach myself.
You don't take pictures of yourself. You take pictures of other things.
Of things, yeah. And I'm behind the camera, so I think I've become like I think instinctively wanted to be behind the camera because I never want to be in front. I never want to be the center of attention. It's just always been a thing for me. I've never been the ego-filled pride guy.
I feel that.
I don't know.
I feel that.
I never felt comfortable drawing attention to me.
Being the subject of the photo.
Yeah, and I draw attention very well. I just don't like feeling like I'm doing it. I don't like feeling like I'm doing it. The second I feel like I'm doing it, I go back into introvert mode, and I have an introvert mode.
We all have a certain level of that.
Yeah,
you know?
of course.
And I know, and I feel what you mean, man. Like it's you have to kind of know when it's too much, because you can be too introverted, you can be too extroverted.
It's all about
a
balance, bro. It's pure balance,
and
we both have both of the sides in us. But like some of us never feel comfortable enough to be that extrovert. So I love making people comfortable to be the extrovert that they always wanted to be. Like I've always been the guy that walks in a room and finds the weirdest person and just sits down with them one-on-one and literally will talk to them until they. Like I've fought people to have conversations with me. Like like you're more interesting than you think, and I'm usually most interested in the quietest person in the room. Usually they have the most interesting things
most they say. That's true.
Well, I mean,
man, like you got real talent, you know what I mean? And I'm one day,
I appreciate it.
One day we're gonna be working together and doing some things, because I know
you
got a lot. I know you got a lot of shots in there that I'm hungry to see them, bro. I'm hungry to see them.
I'm here. So what's the topic?
But this specific episode, we're talking about outreach.
Okay.
That's literally, I mean, that's all I got. That's the only note I got written down for this episode 6, outreach.
Nah, I mean, and this is a broad topic, man, because outreach could arguably be anything that happens outside the church grounds.
So what do you think of so when you think of outreach, what do you specifically think of? What event pops to mind in your head? Because I know what comes to mind in my head.
A couple things. Like, it depends on where in my life I was doing that, like what time in my life. Because as a kid, we used to do this thing called tracks, give out tracks.
Okay.
Remember tracks?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What was I thinking of? There was a door-to-door type of, what did they call
door-to-door,
it? What did they call it? It was a whole situation that they were canvassing, bro. There was a very good friend of mine that used to do canvassing every year, bro. Like,
they go to different cities and they do it.
Bro,
we didn't really do that down here like that.
Months at a time.
And it usually like when you're in college.
It's mostly in the DMV, from what I realized.
I know people. Like, it's usually a summertime thing, and in the summer
they would be out there, man.
In the heat, giving out papers and flyers and all that.
Canvassing was a real thing, and like not only I never did it. Cause like ain't no way I'm gonna be away from home, away from my own bed for 6 months at a time, giving somebody trash, getting doors slammed in my face for 3 months at a time. No, thank you. But the people that did it, it became it wasn't just a thing that they did. It became a part of who they were. You know what I mean? Cause they would, like, in my experience, they would start it. And then they would go back another year, and they would go back another year, and they would go back another year, and they would come back, and they would talk about how bad it was, bro. And that's the only thing they talk about, was how bad it was. But come summertime, they'd be right back out there again.
I think it was a college thing. Like when you were in college, you had your summers off. Wait, did they get paid for it? Did they?
I'm sure they did, but it wasn't nearly enough.
Crazy, right?
It wasn't nearly enough.
I just remember it being like a bunch of college. Like from what I know, is only people I know in college that used to go do it. And used to get up and go canvas and we used to do it locally though. We used to be at our church and just like a little hood around the church.
Well, we used to do something like that at Niles SDA. What we would do, it was like, I specifically remember it. Okay, let me back up. When I think of outreach, the first thing I think about is tent meetings. You ever do like a tent meetings type of thing where it's like y'all would put up a tent in the middle of something somewhere?
We call that the crusade. That's what we call that. And it's funny that I didn't think of it as quote unquote outreach, but you're absolutely right. It was outreach because I'm gonna tell you how I figured out it was outreach as a kid. Because they would give you prizes to bring guests, like guests, like people.
You bring 10 guests, you get
10 guests, you get like a free Bible or something. You get a free Bible. Nowadays it's gift cards and stuff, but they were giving out prizes if you brought guests. Like if you were the guy to bring even 2 guests, and you had the most guests,
you getting something.
You're getting something. I'm leaving here with something. You was leaving there with something. I'll tell you that right now. So we did but crusades were interesting though. And this is to all the Caribbean listeners, because every Caribbean listener knows what a crusade is. So what they do is they get the most fire and brimstone that they could think of, right? And I don't know why they didn't just use it.
Why?
I don't know why they didn't just use the inside of the church, but they never would. We had this big
they would always bring somebody from outside the church. Well, not outside the church, but like some what was I thinking? Like some explosive preacher.
Yeah, always really judgmental, explosive guy. Fire and brimstone. Like he the type of pastor that call you out in the congregation and stuff like that.
You doing something wrong.
You come up here, like let me put my hand, like just like whatever. Like it was always just like this really out there guy that they would get to come and do the crusades, right? And they would I remember like And this is when I was like, I don't know about this, man. It's that was the point where it's like, is
this
this
may
a cult?
not be for me.
Is this a cult? Because people have told me like, Adventism in the past, like, yo, you would a cult.
We are.
I mean, yeah, it's like,
we are, but that's okay. That's all right.
And then, but I didn't feel it until that tent put up, dog. Yo, like, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, they might have had
wait, we might actually be.
Boy, man. And I remember they would count the number of baptisms that they would have after the crusade. That was the main goal was to get the most amount of people baptized. New members. Yeah, new members was the goal. And it's kind of weird because even if they're baptized and they never come back to that church, on paper they're still a member. So on paper it counts, and on paper, so their goal was to get more people on paper baptized, even if they never came back to the church. Because once you get baptized in the church, I don't know if everybody's familiar. You don't got to come back, but on the papers, on the books, your name is
You're a member, right?
You're a member in that book on the church. So, and that counts for the church's funds. If they get money to do renovations, whatever, like a lot of them things get judged by if they keep the pastor.
Membership numbers.
Yeah, it's all membership numbers. So a lot of those things get pushed by membership numbers. So those crusades were kind of like, it was like Black Friday for membership numbers. It was like your last chance to get in your
Black Friday.
Yeah. It was like Black Friday for memberships. So everybody were getting baptized. Sometimes they'd boast hundreds and the numbers of 30, 40, 50 people getting baptized,
That's
and so
wild.
crusades were definitely a form of outreach that I didn't realize was outreach until I got older. Because people from all over the city.
It just felt like a normal service for you?
It was a little more extreme than a normal service, but it just felt like, all right, I think they did it outside so that the community would hear, like they did it intentionally outside. We had a perfectly good church inside, and they decided to go outside in our field and do it with a speaker system
loud,
in the middle of the hood.
Loud too. And they would do it on purpose. And that's definitely a part that I think about, because it's like the loud PA system was like a staple of the tent meetings. You know what I mean? It's like they wanted to make sure that if you was within 3 blocks, you was gonna hear what we was gonna say. You gotta
come outside. You
not only was the PA system loud, the presenter was shouting, bro. They was out here. They was out here like projecting. Projecting, bro. Like, and it was wild too, because I was like, because for a while I like that didn't make sense to me. I was like, yo, why is this person speaking so loud? Like, we right here in the we literally right in front of these speakers. Why are you shouting so loud? You know, and I don't know who it was that like woke me up to that, but they were like, it's because they want the community to hear. They want the blocks around us to hear it.
Didn't realize the level of, I don't even want to call it propaganda, but I didn't even realize the level of like outreach that was when I was growing up as a kid. I'm like, I don't even think that'll be effective nowadays. And I mean, my church was in the hood. So there was a lot of houses surrounding my church. And I mean, arguably there was a lot of people that lived nearby the church that ended up coming. I don't think because of the crusade. It's just because it was in the center of a community. It was literally in the center of a neighborhood.
Church. We had the one that I'm thinking of specifically was right next to not next to, but like kind of adjacent to like a playground, with like swing sets and all that kind of stuff. It's like, this is where people take their kids, so they absolutely are going to hear what we got to say, So, and it was like a whole week or something like that, crazy like that, So, but that's the first thing I think of when I think about outreach. The second thing that I think of when I hear the word outreach is a situation that we used to do around within maybe 2 blocks north, south, east, and west of where the church was. Okay. We would go to a like a bunch of the like supermarkets around where the church was. Yeah. And we'd be like, hey, listen, we need like 300 like paper bags or whatever, right? Yeah. And we'd get them to donate all these paper bags, right? And then we would staple a page to the paper bag that said, it was right around like Thanksgiving time. Okay. We would staple a page to the bag that's like, hey, listen, we're going to be coming back in 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. Please fill this bag up with some canned goods or whatever. And we're going to donate it to whoever is in need around the community. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we would, bro, it was a Pathfinder thing. It was a whole, we'd go out on a Sunday. Yeah. We'd split off into like 4 or 5 different groups. Bro, it was like probably almost 1,000 houses that we would go to, that we would
crazy,
drop
yeah.
these. We would all we would do is ring the bell, drop it at the front, and we go back to the truck.
DoorDash type.
Oh yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, bro. And we leave it there, you know. And
Yeah.
then like it was like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks later or whatever, we'd come. We'd tell them specifically like, hey, leave it out on the front of your porch. We'll come back. We'll pick it up. You ain't even got to do anything. Just leave this bag out in the front, and we'll take care of everything. And like, bro, we would get so many donations from that stuff, bro.
Really
Like 2 or 3 like pickup trucks and trailers full of food.
Wow.
You know, it was wild, bro. It was wild. And like, and as we did it year after year after year, they would get to know we were coming, you know? So we'd walk up, we'd ring the doorbell, they'd come to the door and be like, hey, listen, y'all doing it again? No problem. Give me the bag. Matter of fact, you got 3 of them. Yo, some of these houses would give 3 paper bags full of canned goods, bro. It's like, it was wild. It was wild to me. It was wild to me, bro. Like how people can how people who are not Adventists can be so generous.
Yeah, man. Look,
you know,
it's
like
there's a theme of generosity in Adventism and Christianity in general, but it's like, and that's why I love being around people that are like church going folk, man, because you know the level of generosity they coming with. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like to see people, and I think there's a binding strength when people on the street have that same level of generosity. It's like they see a community of people that share that level of morals and generosity with them, and it draws them, man. It draws them. Believe it or not, it draws them, bro.
That happens. That happens. People on the street definitely can feel
feel the love, man. They feel the unconditional love.
Yes, but it's more powerful when it's the community surrounding the physical sanctuary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like
the best outreach is the people right next to the church.
Right around the church, man. Like
it's almost no effort to get to the church from your house.
Yeah,
you can walk. You don't even got to bring your car. Right, it's right there.
Yeah, and
you can hear the crusade from your.
And we didn't. And I remember like because like. I'm specifically talking about Niles, Philadelphia Seventh Day Adventist Church in Niles, Michigan. But like, we didn't have a huge like, you know, parking lot or anything. You know, there was more. There was less spaces available than the than the congregation that had. So we had to like park on the street or whatever. And like the people that were around the church, they didn't care.
Yeah.
They didn't care. They knew that, like, yo, on Sabbath, somebody's probably gonna be parking outside of your house.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
You know, like they're not gonna vandalize your place. They're not going, you know, like tear down your fences or whatever. They're just here to worship.
Yeah, and we all knew somebody that was like local, like right down the street. I mean, and to be honest, a lot of these Adventist churches, some of the best ones too, are in the hood.
Oh,
They're in the middle of the hood.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what I'm saying? So, like,
oh yeah, bro.
Like some of the best black churches you'll ever been to.
Right in the middle. Right in the
middle. Center of the hood. Like,
and honestly, I think that they're more generous.
Yeah, a lot of the time. I mean, there's a lot to help in those communities. You know what I'm saying? Like the outreach is a lot more impactful in those communities. I remember, so Maranatha, the church I grew up at, was in the middle of a city called Carroll City.
Okay.
Now they don't even call this place Carroll City anymore because it has such a bad reputation. I kid you not. They ask anybody that's born and raised in South Florida, they'll tell you about Carroll City. They still have Carroll City High School, but the city has been renamed to Miami Gardens. And Miami Gardens is the gentrified version of Carroll City. When I was growing up, it was called Carroll City. This is also the neighborhood that Rick Ross is from, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, Rick Ross, you know, the famous rapper that's from Florida.
That happens.
Yeah, his music video was down.
If you know who Rick Ross is, look him up.
Yeah, but the very well, not the drug dealer. This is the rapper. Anyways, it's 2 guys with the name, by the way. Anyways, the flea market that was down the street from my church, almost walking distance, was where he filmed his first music video. At his first major song, "Hustlin'," was filmed at the flea market down the street from my church. Carol Mart is the name of the flea market. And they shut it down now. It's gone now. They put a regular plaza in there, regular stores. But that is it's pretty much still the hood. Everybody knows they used to call it Murder Gardens now. Like, it's not even Miami Gardens anymore. And it's slowly being gentrified. It's right by the Hard Rock Stadium. Everybody knows where it's at if you're in South Florida. And the community there's a handful of people that used to straggle into the church. And I think we all know what this looks like. You know, a guy comes to church and you know he's never been to church a day in his life. Comes to church with a wife beater on.
Yeah, right.
Crazy.
Or whatever.
Like come to church with a hoodie on or like a t-shirt. Something crazy. And you know, and that's the true test of outreach.
Yeah, that's it.
Is you got a guy straggling in from the hood that your church is in, and he wants to know, like, if you guys are gonna welcome it or not.
Yeah.
You know, and some of them don't care. Some of them come in and they just see a community of people and they seem nice enough and they just kind of become a guy there. And you know, most of these people don't stay. Mm-hmm. Most of these guys don't stay. It's a hard for them to find a place in this peaceful. But a lot of them, like as I said, we all have that one member that just never blended in. They just come off the streets. And they had no.
They're happy to be the street guy.
They're happy to be the street guy
in the congregation.
Happy to be the street guy.
But at the same time, man, like I think that you're right. Most of the times they don't stay, but I don't think that's because of them. I think that's because of us.
It is. And at some point when you keep showing up a couple 4, 5, 6 times,
that's all it takes.
Come as you are actually works the first time. In my opinion. Yeah. Come as you are, they actually like, oh, he don't know nothing. Like, all right, let's be nice. Let's make sure he don't think we're gonna chase him out, you know, because he don't look like us, you know.
Because that's what they think when they first come in. Yeah, is that they're gonna chase that the members are going to chase you out because you're not one of them.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, like arguably, and a lot of them, some of them do. Some of them you might get some weird stares at first, but you know, once you fast forward like 3-4 months. Then they hit you with the, hey, you want to help with Sabbath school?
Yeah, that's it, right?
They're going to hit you with they're going to try to get you in there.
Now that they know your name and who your family is.
They know your name. You came back a couple times. It's been about 3 months now. Like, we could get him in the system. You know, we can start. Like, you know, they start asking you, have you been baptized before?
Wild, bro. That's wild.
Are you currently baptized anywhere right now? And, you know, they get you baptized. They get you in the system. They put you on.
Do you need that, though?
What?
For someone who is coming from off the streets.
Yeah.
Okay. Do they need to be baptized to do Sabbath school or read the scripture or how about this? Do intercessory prayer. Yeah, and does somebody need to be baptized to do intercessory prayer? That's the real question.
This is the argument that I think the church probably would make, and I mean. There's and I think on just a human level, there's a level of sacrifice that has to be given in order to value something, and I think we all know this. Like, I think we subconsciously know that without sacrifice, it's hard to value something.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and so I think telling somebody to accept the laws of baptism or whatever, they read you that whole long paper before you get baptized, and it's like restraint. It's like almost like a commandment thing. It's a
28 beliefs,
20
bro.
fundamental beliefs, right? Yeah, so. They read them down for you, and you have to agree, and then they dunk you in the water, and you're supposed to live by those beliefs after you're dunked in. And when you come back up, you come back a new person. It's supposed to be the thing, Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you got somebody that just found this church 3 weeks ago, you think you're going to dunk them in the water, they're going to come back up new?
Okay, 3 weeks is not enough time. 3 months, is that enough time?
Even 3 months. I mean, like, it's I said outreach.
3 months, is that enough time?
I like the purpose of outreach is just like, 3 months is enough time. I think 3 months is enough time.
You think that by the time somebody comes in and they've come into church consistently for 3 months, they should be ready for baptism by the end of those 3 months, 90 days?
Yeah, if they're being treated properly, I don't see why they wouldn't. If they're being treated properly, I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean, and some of them might not
90 days is plenty enough. If you giving somebody, if he comes in a wife beater on Sabbath 1, by Sabbath, let's see here, 90 days is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 19. By the 12th Sabbath, he should be in there. In what? Like, does it really matter what? At
least in courtroom clothes. All right.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Right, so, you know what's the crazy part? And this is the thing is like,
because I was thinking about that. I was like, yo, do I expect somebody who came in at a wife beater in Sabbath 1 to be in a suit and tie on Sabbath 12?
This is the thing. I mean, maybe. And this is the thing with a church. But
I don't wear a suit and tie to church no more.
No, but as I said, we all understand that there's a level of reverence. As I said, we talked about this earlier. There's a level of sacrifice you have to have in order to value something, right? The person that's coming in a wife beater don't know that. They don't know, They don't understand the culture. Like there's a lifestyle and a culture to the church,
Their investment is low.
The investment is low at the top. And so, and as a member of the church, it'd be beautiful. And usually this is what happens, by the way, just so you know this. And maybe not everybody gets told this. But if a guy comes in with a wife beater and he comes back the next week with a wife beater, people are going to start saying, all right, we need to get him a shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like, no. And I've seen this happen before.
I see what you mean.
Yeah,
he may not have a button up.
One of the church ladies might go in her husband's closet. Oh, he look like he my husband's size. Go in there, bring a shirt back next Sabbath.
I never thought about that, but you're absolutely right.
No, but that's what the church is for.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point. It's like, yo, you ain't got no button up? No problem. I got 20. My husband's got 20. He didn't even wear them.
Right. And I think that's That's where the beauty of the church comes in. Yeah, that's where the beauty comes in. Is when Sister Lady sees that dude coming to church with a wife beater.
He been in a wife beater for the last 2 weeks.
And realize he don't got a shirt. You know what I'm saying? He don't got a church shirt. The man never even been to court. You know, he don't got no dress clothes. And then that's when the members step in.
And that speaks volumes.
But that's when the members step in. And I think that's the beauty of the church is that the church fills the gaps.
But
in the community.
But I don't. But that takes a certain level of what? That takes a certain level of perception. Yeah. To be able to do that.
And I think members at my church at least they have that. They have that. Like I'll tell you right now, the church.
Young adult members.
What you said? What
young adult members have that?
Maybe not the young adults, but the ones that have been mothers, the ones that can see. You know what I mean? Like the older ladies.
It's
definitely
the church. That matriarchal energy.
It's definitely a matriarchal energy. But I could tell you right now, at my church, if a guy came to the church especially if he came with the same wife beater, but if he came with a wife beater, if he came with dingy clothes and he was,
they would notice. They would notice
consistently coming, bro.
Yeah, the mothers would definitely notice.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the beautiful part of the church that I don't think a lot of people.
You don't even gotta ask. No problem. Here, this is for you. No problem.
And a lot of the time,
I don't even want it back. If you want to throw it out, no problem. I don't care. He don't even need it.
Yeah, and that's the stuff that I love, man. That's the stuff that I love because it's like the church will do stuff like that and nobody will know about it. You just see him come next week with a shirt, and it's like, oh, he looking fresh today. You know, meanwhile you laughing at it, and it's like, yo, that's just a lady husband shirt, you know, and it's like. And so, man, like
that is beautiful. That is beautiful.
The church is a beautiful place, man. I tell people all the time.
It can be a beautiful place.
It can be. Now, don't get me wrong. I said there's bad people in it, but I would still argue that the general like direction the church is attempting to go in.
You could say the majority.
Nah, majority for sure. But I think the general direction that the church is attempting to go in, as far as outreach is concerned, is of good intent. So I had a church. They shut down when COVID happened. It wasn't a large membership already. COVID happened. They kind of went digital, and then they kind of fizzled out. You know, I think the conference kind of like packed them up. They were having issues with the pastor.
I believe that.
And it became a weird thing. And so, guess what happened after that? The members said, "Hey, you know, we still want to congregate here every Sabbath, but you know, they didn't really have a pastor like that." And they had a little property that they bought. They were going to build a church on it, but it's not much. It's like a little small house on the property. You know, when they buy the land first and they didn't build a building yet. It was that kind of situation. And they said, you know, we're going to do outreach here. So what we're going to do is we're going to give out like canned goods. We're going to give out. They got in contact with some food places that had excess food, and they did a food bank. And it was so organized. I went to a couple of them actually. This is one of the other churches I grew up in as a kid. I grew up in. This is like a secondary church for me. Kind of
South
closer
Florida?
to my house. Yeah, South Florida.
Okay.
And they decided they were going to give out food every Sabbath instead of having service. So they replaced like worship with just outreach.
No divine worship. Okay. Straight up.
Yeah. And so let me add this, because it's funny you said that, because when I first came, I was like, oh, we just going to be giving out cans of food or whatever. And I pull up and they have a song service. They got a guy there sitting with a guitar, and then a guy came and read a scripture.
Yeah.
And then we did a prayer, and then we got up and we started packing up boxes. Started putting apples in this box and bread in this box.
Yeah.
Beautiful. One of the coolest outreaches I've ever been a part of in South Florida.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, and it was organized. The guy that was in charge of it, he was an older Jamaican dude, but he was tech savvy.
Okay.
Download the app on your phone.
Yo!
Kid you not. There's an app for this. I didn't know, but you download this app, and it'll pretty much pair you with the person you need to put outreach.
Yeah.
It's almost like a DoorDash, Uber Eats vibe.
That makes sense. I mean, why not use technology?
Yeah, and so the guy that organized it had a list of addresses of people that signed up and said they wanted food donations, and you would just drive to the house it was enough people that we only had to drive to like one, maybe two houses max.
Yeah,
and it was always in the same route, and you would drive, drop the box off, Happy Sabbath, drive the next house, drop the box off, Happy Sabbath, and then go home. That was it. And I went to a couple of them, and I was like, man, this is powerful.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, this is powerful, man.
It's not it's real.
And we would leave a pamphlet, of course, in the box of food and whatever. Like, if they read it, they do.
If you read it, okay, great. If you don't, so what?
And I had an address,
because the pamphlet is not the point.
And I had an address and a time on there. It's the most direct and effective outreach other than music, that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
In the church, and I was doing this, I think, last year summer. Well, and I was like, this is beautiful, man.
Well, that makes that makes sense to me because I'm gonna be honest with you. When it comes to Mount Pisgah in Miami Gardens,
great, bro.
They put a real
outreach.
Focus on like
Outreach, crazy.
Yes, outreach, but not just outreach. Like what's the word I'm looking for? Like relevant outreach.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they like, and I don't want to put their business on blast, but I'm gonna say it anyway. They be giving out Amazon gift cards.
Oh yeah.
They be giving like they be
I'm
like
put it up. Tell them about it.
They be doing
Tell,
like,
bro,
like,
tell the people about it, bro. Like,
yo,
I went to Pisgah like a couple months, like I think a month ago, bro, and they were like, anybody first time visitors, and you know everybody kind of
come on, get his Amazon.
Bro,
gift
they
card.
gave him a $20 Amazon gift card. Let me tell you, after the pastor gave out that first one, people was pushing their hands. I'm my first time here. I ain't never seen this building a day in my life. I ain't never. I don't know who this is.
Okay, so that you're right. First of all, but like so, like in enterprise marketing, one of the most valuable things that you can have as a business is a list of emails, an email list of people who are really like who people who have voluntarily provided their email addresses to you as an organization. That's how it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, newsletter.
And it's like, yo, like when you like, you don't even have to ask for somebody's email address. Nah. If you tell them, hey, listen, I'm gonna just give you this Amazon gift card, and I don't care what you do with it. I don't care. I'm not looking for anything from you. Okay. I'm just trying to be generous to you as a visitor. You know, that sends a clear message to that visitor that it's like, yo, this, I don't know. I'm trying. I want to say this congregation, but I don't know if as a visitor I would think that. I would think that this person is invested in my well-being. Yeah, man. You know, and that's it, like that kind of seems like to me the foundation of outreach. Yeah, man. It's like you have to make the person who you are reaching out to believe that you are doing something for them, not because you expect something in return, but because you want them to be better.
That is the theme of outreach: is giving with no expectation.
Right.
Giving with absolutely no expectation.
It's like, yo, we got all this money. Let me share it with you.
I don't know how people don't feel it, dog. That's what I don't understand. Is like the best feeling I've ever got on this planet is giving people things and expecting
nothing. Here. Let me give you this blessing.
It is the best feeling on the planet.
Accept it and be happy.
It is the best feeling on the planet is giving somebody hope. You know what I'm saying? And I think and I'm gonna keep
lacking today.
And this theme is gonna keep coming up because I think that's what a lot of people are lacking is hope. Yeah,
hope is definitely lacking.
And I think hope is the church's number one prospect. I think it's the biggest export of the church is providing people hope. And I think people get caught up on, is this true? Is this real? Is this bad? Is this good? Like it doesn't. And you really think about it, none of it matters.
What?
You're providing people with positive optimism to tackle the next day. You're giving them hope.
Yeah.
You're giving them hope. And I think that when we look at outreach, that's what it is. It's giving people hope.
That's what's important. It's like it's like having hope to tackle the next day.
That's it.
The next day.
Some people can't even get through the next day. It's people suicide all the time. Suicide rates out of this place. People don't even want to try anymore. Like, there's just so many reasons for people to not do it, and the church is giving you a reason to do it. You know what I'm saying? And I think people get caught up on the specifics like, well, is it real? Is God real? Is he fake? And it's like, and I'm going to keep bringing this up over and over because there's a culture and a mindset and a mentality that you adopt as a Christian in America. And I'm saying as a Christian, not even as an Adventist, as a Christian in America.
Because it's bigger than just us.
That there's an optimism that if you're a good enough person, that there's something promised to you, and it does, as I said, it doesn't matter if it's real or
that's between you and God. Fake.
That's between you and what you want to believe. But
that doesn't have anything to do with the congregation as a whole.
But when you live like you believe it, you're a completely different person.
Yeah.
You change as a human being when you move like that's the truth. When you move like, I really believe this. Like when you really believe something, you're gonna act accordingly.
It changes the way you act.
Changes the way you act on a day-to-day basis.
That's true.
Changes the way you act on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's the theme in Christianity and Adventism. And I think that's what we're trying to spread here. And that's outreach, is giving people that feeling of, yo, like there's more to this thing, man. There's more to this life.
It's not just what you live. It's who you are.
Right.
You know? It's and that's the cheat code.
Yeah.
That's the cheat code. You know, it's like, yo, listen, you're like, yeah, you're gonna live day to day, and like, yeah, you're gonna have those daily experiences that you have as a fleshly being living in the world. But there's something above that. Yeah. There's something above that gets juiced from you being generous and kind and selfless and all those things that we say we teach. It's like you don't have to teach them if you already think that you are that person.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Exactly, bro. And I think like, man, outreach is a beautiful thing. It is when it's done right. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful. It changes people. Yeah, and the thing is, you just gotta be in the room. Like, so when we went to Vegas, was funny, man. Cause
Vegas was funny.
I love people in Vegas. Vegas people are nice, man. It's just like
they're authentic.
They're really real, man.
Yeah,
they're really real. People. Yeah. It's funny because Vegas gets a bad rap about being a sin city, though. It's funny because you go to church in a sin city, it's a whole other thing, man.
Yeah,
I don't know if I told you about the full Vegas experience when I went to church in Vegas. I went to a black church in Vegas. I wish I could tell you the name right now. I don't even remember. But I remember me and my mom. I think we were like waiting for a ride or something, and at least 3 people in the parking lot like, y'all need a ride? Y'all good? You good? And we were like, nah, we're good. We're just waiting for somebody, and they were just like, you sure? I'm going this way. And I mean, what
direction you going?
Because if you literally had an abundance,
you can cancel that ride because I'll take you for free.
We had an abundance of help from this church, and none of these people had seen us a day in their lives.
Yeah.
On top of that, they had a giveaway. And I guess they linked with a local grocery store, and they were giving out bread. Me and my mom had 2 boxes full of bread.
Yo, you brought me mad bread in Vegas, bro.
I brought you that bread. Bro, I knew you was going to finish that bread.
Rolls and loaves.
I knew you was going to finish that bread, and I wasn't flying back with that bread. But it's like, bro, like it was so much at the church, and the church was like, yo, take more.
Yeah, right.
It's funny because I had like a little grocery bag, and I put like 3-4 little things in, and the guy's like, that's it?
That's all you take it?
Like, man, take a box. And I'm like, nah, I don't want a box, man. He's like, yo, take a box.
You got a whole box of bread.
And I came outside, and I saw my mom had a whole box. He's like, why you didn't get a box?
Too?
And I'm like,
too?
I have a box. He said, why you didn't get a box? And I'm like, what? I'm not going to finish this bread. He said, you give it to Andrew. He likes bread. And I'm like, maybe, but I'm not like... Bro, and I said, you know, whatever. Yeah, whatever.
You did bring mad bread to the house, bro.
Yeah, I brought mad bread. But it's like, bro. That's just the overflow blessing that I was getting already. You know what I'm saying? And it's special because the things that happen after church are usually where the most outreach happens. And I have a belief
you're right. It's not the divine worship service that makes the biggest difference. You're right.
No, the outreach to me is definitely things that happen outside of that divine worship hour. It's usually outside of the church campus, to be honest with you. A lot of the time, it's outside the church campus.
Yo, talk about that. That's true, bro. That's true, bro.
Yeah, man. Like outreach is a beautiful thing when done correctly. And Pisgah, I give bad points to them. Last time I went, they gave me ice cream.
They do outreach so real, bro. And they do it. The thing I love most about it is that they do it intelligently. Yeah, like it's like they're not trying to be a solo beacon in South Florida. They're trying to work with Disney and all these other major corporations around, and to be like, yo, we a 501(c). Like if you're trying to we can do a equivalent exchange.
Yeah, man.
And we can do an equivalent exchange here,
bro. And a lot of these supermarkets, they throwing away food,
right?
Food.
Mad food,
40% of the food produced is wasted. 40% of the food on the planet that we produce is like fully wasted. I think America, that might be the American number, but I know that almost half of the food that's like on shelves gets thrown out.
Yeah.
And nobody ever gets to eat it, bro.
Yeah.
And then there's people on the other side of the planet literally starving. So it's outreach is one of them things where man, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. And even Sabbath lunch is considered outreach to me.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that. I mean, because, I wouldn't necessarily qualify Sabbath lunch as outreach. I would qualify Sabbath lunch as like it's in reach almost. It's fellowship.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's the thing you do before you go outside.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, cause remember, Sabbath lunch, sometimes they have it at the church.
Right. But that's to okay. So I'm gonna be a little transparent here. So when I was living in Michigan, we had a wood burning stove. And every Sunday, me and my father would go out and we would have to get wood for this wood burning stove to heat our house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But before we did that, we would always have a Sunday morning breakfast. Okay. And most oftentimes it was pancakes. It was scrambled eggs if we wanted it. It was sausage patties. It was a hearty meal to give you the strength you needed to go outside. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And so that's how I kind of see. That's how I see Sabbath lunch as us. You know, it's like, hey, listen, we're gonna have divine worship service at 11.
Yeah.
By 1 p.m. we're gonna be eating food. We're gonna get a fantastic meal. We're gonna do a little bit of talking, and after that, we're going out to the community. Right, you know what I mean? But you can't. Right. But you can't go from divine worship to out to the community because you need the strength to be able to go outside.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, so yes, it's and like it's not the Sabbath lunch is not exclusionary.
Right.
It's not like no, if you're not a member, you can't have none of this food. Right. Come on in and have this food. If you want to, fantastic. But like the point of this meal is to give us strength to go out to the community.
Yeah, I mean sometimes there's no outreach right after that. It's just like, yo, we eating and going home. Like that 90% of the time that's the Sabbath lunch.
That's most of it. You're right.
But still, as I said, like, I do think that people find Christ in other people. That's how I found God. Like, I'm gonna keep 100. Like, I find God through other people.
Yeah,
other people. I go to church at 100% for
I'll agree
for
with
the
you.
people.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah, and a lot of the time you don't get to meet these people during the service. You're listening to the sermon, you're watching them sing, but you don't get to sit down and talk to these people face to face.
What do you think? What do you feel? Who are you?
Yeah,
what do you
like? And when you start digging into who these people are that come to this church every week, and
the stories
do the
come
same
out.
thing. The stories come out, the testimonies come out, the life-changing experiences come out. The reason why you're there is
becomes apparent.
It becomes apparent at that point, but usually you don't get to that until you sit down and have a meal with them. And I think that's where the culture of Adventism shines way brighter than most other religions, because a lot of religions aren't having that lifestyle, that
fellowship,
that fellowship after church, where everybody's sitting down with a meal and talking. And not looking at the clock. Like, we're here until somebody falls asleep.
Who cares? Whatever.
I mean, literally, I know them Sabbaths where you go after church and be talking.
And you don't leave until the sun is down.
And the sun is down.
Dark outside.
It's dark. And then that's when people realize, oh, dang, we've been here all day. Oh my, golly, we've been here all day. Like, we got to, like, and then you start planning for what you're going to do later that night, you know.
Yeah,
you're going to go watch a movie, whatever, but like.
Or next week, even better. It's like,
man,
okay, we're going to be back here next week? No
Sabbath
problem.
lunch is probably the most deep fellowship activity I had as a child. Like, when I really think about it, like, it was some of the most deep, profound, like spiritual moments with people that I go to church with. Like, a lot of the time I got to know them. I got to have conversations with people, realize what I was into. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just never know what you're going to discover about yourself at a Sabbath lunch. And it's outreach to me. It's fully outreach, man. Like, if you invite a stranger to Sabbath lunch, I feel like they could leave with more coming to a Sabbath lunch than coming to Divine Hour and hearing a sermon. I think they come to Sabbath lunch, they're gonna learn a lot more about themselves.
Yeah, you could miss divine worship, catch Sabbath lunch, and get a better blessing.
Exactly.
I agree.
Yo, like, a lot of the time you see Christ through the people, man.
Yeah,
a lot of the time Christ shines through the people.
That's what a congregation is.
Yeah, the Christ shines through the people.
It's God it's God being displayed to you
we're all a
from
vessel.
the people around you.
We're all a vessel, man.
Through the people around you. Because it doesn't come from them. It doesn't come from them. It comes through them.
They're a vessel. They're only the vessel. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, man. And so like, it's outreach is it's a lot bigger. It's literally anybody outside not knowing, seeing what's going on inside. And that doesn't necessarily mean food giveaway, tracks, flyers, none of that. It just means that somebody on the outside is seeing what's on the inside. That's it. That's all outreach. That's all outreach is to me. That's it. Somebody seeing from the outside and being curious.
What's coming from the inside.
That's it.
Crazy,
that's it.
Bro.
Because it's
no,
really
I agree with that. I agree with that though.
You know, and you can't do outreach from the inside. You have to go outside.
No. You have to take it outside of the walls of the building. It only happens if it happens outside of the building.
That's what I'm saying. Outreach. It's outreach. Yeah. And it's funny. I heard pastors preach this too before. Outreach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the word out is there for a reason. You can't do it on the church grounds.
Yeah.
You can't do it on the church grounds.
Yeah.
And you can't expect them to come to the church grounds.
Right, because they don't care.
They have no reason to be there. That's what I'm saying. They have no reason to be there. You have to go where they're at.
You have to give them a reason to care.
You have to go where they're at. Yeah. You have to go where they're at, man. It's just it's a beautiful process of just energy.
You're right. When it's done correctly, it is a fantastic. It's like it's transcendent.
Yeah, and I think
transcendent.
Yeah, and I think that's what it was with like when we were talking the last episode about like, you know, what the church is doing with their money. A lot of it is being poured into outreach. I get it. I mean, I understand why it's being poured into outreach. Like, you know, like we want to see the effects of the money come back to our church.
Is that like what do I want to say? Expanding the borders, is that outreach?
It is 100%. Like, remember, they're building a church in a village in Botswana that don't got no church. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's definitely outreach. Like, for sure. Like, that is outreach. And the conference is taking the pastor and putting him in there. And
why is that definitely outreach?
It's building a culture of eventism that maybe a certain landscape hasn't seen before. Remember, them Sabbath lunches, all these things we were talking about. You can't really have that until the building is there.
But hold on, because when you talked about building a church in Botswana, you were talking about a building.
Okay, yeah.
It's not the culture. The culture does not come with the building.
It doesn't, and we could have the culture in this house right now, but the you have to understand that the building is a lot more significant than we think. The church building.
Does the building have to come first, or does the culture have to come first?
The culture comes first, 100%. We know that. But the culture, it's hard for the culture to expand without the building. Let's be honest.
That's a good point. You're right.
The culture could happen right here in this room.
I'll agree with you there. But I don't think that you need a building to have a culture of outreach.
You don't need the building to start.
No, not to start, to have. To cultivate. Because I mean, listen, if we believe in the Bible, they have no churches in the New Testament.
Yeah.
No churches. They happen. All of these congregations happened in people's houses where they lived, where they slept.
My massive church right now started with like a 30 people membership in somebody's basement or something.
And honestly, like, as much as like, and it's what do I want to say? This may not be scalable, but at the same time, it really does kind of feel to me as if, like, it would be better if we had no churches and only homes.
I mean, hey, and like COVID had that thing kind of running for a little bit.
It had for a while. It was like them church buildings was empty for weeks, bro.
Like, so when my church was like breaking off, because we were the big church, and then it was like other members would break off to other smaller congregations. A lot of them would start in people's homes, and then it would expand into like, you know.
I mean, that's back to basics, bro.
Into like, that's
back to basics.
The house thing is good, but like to expand, sometimes you need that building. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes you need that building.
What's the purpose of expansion?
With for bigger outreach. Like, not everybody gonna fit in your house. At one point, you're not gonna be able to fit 200 people in here.
Why do you need 200 people?
What it's expanding. The culture is expanding. You're not gonna be able to fit 200 people in your house.
To what end?
What do you mean to what end?
The culture is expanding to what end?
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. It's outreach. It's literally to it's outreach.
You get my question, right?
No, I see what you're saying, but it's the point of outreach is to expand. Literally, outreach and expand are almost synonyms.
I don't know if I agree
They're almost
with that,
synonyms.
bro.
They're almost synonyms.
I don't know if I agree with that, bro. The point of outreach isn't expansion. The point of outreach is to.
It's a ministry. It's a ministry. It's a minister.
Is to.
Influence?
Maybe that's not, but yes, but like, is to like influence is probably, matter of fact, that's not actually a bad word. The point of outreach is to influence people to what? To align better with the Most High. Mm-hmm. But you don't need a building for that.
No, you don't. As I said, this is.
And as a matter of fact, right. I think as the building grows bigger, it becomes harder to influence.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
No, it does. It does. It does.
You know, so like, yes, I mean, like, you know, like I'm not discounting the importance of a building for worship. I'm definitely not doing that. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying but what I'm saying is that the building for worship is not the influence of that building is diluted.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, I get what you're saying. Nah, like I see what you're saying. But the building is necessary at some point. At some point, the building is necessary. At some point, the building is necessary.
Yeah, there's definitely a tipping point where
a
building is necessary.
Where 120 people are not going to fit in your home. We're going to need a bigger place to get the people in here. You know what I'm saying?
What about 50?
Yeah, 50 maybe, but it's going to be crowded. You will stack up on top of each other. Okay, you got 50 chairs in this house? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
we definitely got 50 chairs
like,
in this
come
house,
on. Like,
bro.
okay, even perfect example. Like, I went to a church that was held in a high school auditorium. Mm-hmm. Because they couldn't fit it in nobody's house. I mean, it was enough people to get out of somebody's house, but not enough people to build their own church. So, I mean, not to say that you need to have your dedicated building, but you might have to get a space where at least the people could fit. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just looking at
right, but that only happens after the outreach.
Yeah,
the need for a building only happens after you have established a foundation of outreach.
Yeah, no, facts. It all starts with outreach. We know that. But at a certain point, especially if the outreach is effective, you're going to need a scale. You're going to need to go to a bigger house, bigger room. Like we used to worship. Yeah, they used to worship at a cafeteria.
Yeah, no, I agree
in
with
a high
that.
school.
I mean,
it's just logistics.
We've seen.
Yeah,
that.
it's logistics. It's supply and demand, bro. It's not even nothing complicated. It's literally just like we need more room to fit these people. It has nothing to do with the ministry, the culture. Like, you can argue if it makes it better or worse. We just need more room to fit these people. So it's just like that's
we just ain't got no space. We just ain't got no space for these people.
We got no space. So as I said, I went to a church, the same church that did the outreach that I was telling you about with the food distribution.
Okay, I'm with you.
They worship in a high school. Not even, sorry, a middle school. It was my middle school too. They worship in my middle school for like 12 years. Like pretty much the entire the time of the church's existence, they only had enough money to really from the conference to worship in a high school.
Well, I mean, Mount Pisgah used to worship in a different sanctuary. I mean, they still got the old sanctuary on the church grounds.
Yeah, we got churches in South Florida that they bought it now, but they bought Catholic churches.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what Niles, Philadelphia did. They used to worship at a little church on, let's see here, what was it? Broadway or whatever in Niles, Michigan, and now they done moved out and got to a bigger congregation, a bigger sanctuary and a fancier church and all that stuff. And I mean, I'm not mad at that for happening, but it doesn't seem to me as if the bigger building is a larger beacon. Does that make sense?
No, and it isn't. It isn't. I mean, not necessarily. I mean,
or no, excuse me, not a larger beacon, a brighter beacon.
No, okay. Like, remember we had a discussion about quantity and quality.
Sure.
Anytime you have more quality, you're gonna lose. Anytime you have more quantity, you're gonna lose some quality.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, like you could talk about the potency of a message and say that with these bigger churches that the message isn't as potent and it's not what people need to hear, et cetera, et cetera. Like, people bring up the Joel Osteen argument all the time. Like, his church is way too big.
His church is way too big. He's not. There's no way he's as potent as he was when he was a quarter of the members.
Right, in his backyard or whatever. Right. It's an argument that everybody has, is that the bigger the churches are, the less potent the message is.
So what does that mean what does that mean for us?
I mean, but you can look at that at any social setting. The bigger the school is, like we have this thing about, remember, and we're a lot of the time the church is here to teach. It's here to teach a culture. It's here to teach a belief system, to teach a moral institute. You can look at education systems, and it's proven that the less students per classroom is more effective.
They get a higher quality education for less.
So remember, quality versus quantity.
So I'm gonna ask my question again. What does that mean for our congregations?
Well, yeah, the smaller the congregations, the more effective the teaching is gonna be. And that's an argument of just knowledge and just in general aspect. Like you, as I said, you could look at schools. And remember,
no,
like,
I agree. I agree with what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, and a lot of the churches
I agree
teaching.
with one. I agree 100% with what you're saying.
Yeah.
But then the question then needs to be asked. Then why do we increase the size of our buildings if that doesn't increase the potency of our members? Does that make sense, my question?
Yeah, I mean, but you can't fit the people. That's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Right, but but it seems if that's the case, and what we're talking about is true, that there is a as you increase in quantity, you decrease in quality. There's gotta be a
balance or what?
Right.
Yeah.
There's got to be a balance somewhere, but I don't know. Maybe this is a conversation for a different episode. But but I do agree that when outreach is done correctly at the level of quality that is necessary for a healthy congregation, it is a beautiful thing. It's like it's not only beautiful, it's powerful. It's like it's not only like so powerful, so powerful. Like it changes a community. It changes a neighborhood. It changes a state. It changes a nation. It changes a world. Like that seems like a better way to do it to me than to try to focus on getting a church in every zip code or whatever, which kind of seems like the way that our church is. It's
been the way our church has been expanding from when I was born, from when we were born, man. It's just, and you can't say it's not effective. The Adventist Church and the Catholic Church are the only two churches that can be found anywhere on the planet. They're the two most widespread churches on the planet. What
does that mean? Effective?
No. Like,
effective.
I never said effective. I said
you did say effective.
No. I said they're the most widespread churches on the planet. No, they're the most widespread church. No, like serious. Like you can find an Adventist church and a Catholic church anywhere on the planet.
Yeah, sure, but does that mean that our church is effective?
In that sense, yes. In that sense, yes. Because
I agree with you there.
They're effective as far as outreach. Like you have to understand. Outreach is the main motivator of our church. No,
it's like having a church in every zip code isn't an effective church.
Why would you say that? Why are you saying that that's not effective? Is what I'm trying to figure out. Like, okay, man, maybe not everybody could get to the church. Like, we forget we all have cars and we can move around and stuff.
Sure.
Like, let's say this church was next door to you and they were always doing stuff. Let's say they was always giving out food and they right next door to you. Let's say you live next door to Pisgah and you see they always giving out boxes of food. And let's say you just started by going out and get a box of food every Sabbath. That church happens to be next door to you, so it's easy. Like people like
right, but that doesn't make that church effective.
It's effective because it's convenient to some people.
No, convenience does not equal effective.
I think people don't underestimate the power of convenience.
No,
because that church is right there.
Yes, there is convenience does have a level of power. I agree, but it's not. But that level of convenience does not affect its effectiveness in a community. That's what I'm trying to say. So, and like, I don't know. I'm thinking through this as we're talking here right now. But like, you know, I would much rather have a smaller church that has a smaller square footage than a church. I would much rather have a church that has a smaller square footage but is more effective with its surrounding community than a church that has a larger square footage and is less effective for its proportional surrounding community. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but you could even argue that the bigger churches, the community's coming into them. They don't really have the outreach to the, like you could like I'm not saying it like that, but like you could even argue that the bigger churches have a big enough. Like my mom went to Houston and went to Joel Osteen's church. You know what I'm saying? She was in the city. And you could even argue that
Pioneer
church
Memorial brings people from all around.
That's what I'm saying.
Just Berrien Springs.
I'm gonna be honest.
I mean, Oakwood Church brings people from all over.
And maybe it's not a thing. It's not a good thing to say out loud, but we have to acknowledge the fact No, but like when a church is bigger, they don't have to do as much outreach because people know them and they just come. People gonna come to them.
When you get to a tipping point, people will come to you.
Yeah, and every member goes there.
But the what's the word? The investment of the people who are coming to you is not as much as the people who are. Is not as much as the people who are in a smaller church going out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like the people who are coming to Oakwood are not as committed as the people who were part of Niles Philadelphia going out to give those to give those the paper back. You know, like that they like no nobody would do that.
Well,
you know, and that's okay. That's okay. I mean, I think it's okay to have a mix, but I think it seems a little crazy to me to try to make them equal, you know, because they're not equal. They're not equal. You know, it's like, yeah, Oakwood's bigger, but Niles Philadelphia was having a bigger effect on their community around them, you know? So I don't know. Maybe, I mean, outreach is it's a tricky subject, bro. Like there's a lot of
I don't think there's any wrong way to do it though. That's what I'm saying. Like I don't think there's a wrong way to do it.
That's true. I don't think there's. Let's see. Is there a wrong way to do?
Like
outreach?
Church is always obsessed with how you do it. Like, I don't think there's a wrong way to do outreach. I really think it's.
You do what you do based on the size that you are.
Yeah, and I think certain churches do different things to draw certain people in their community, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think people are like, well, you can't do outreach like that. It's like, yeah, you can.
No, we can.
Yeah, you can.
We got 3,000 members. What are you talking about?
I don't think there's a wrong way to do it. That's what I said. I do not think there's a wrong way to do it. Yeah.
So, where do you think this leads?
What, outreach or
our outreach strategy? What do you think happens?
I think, and you could look at it on paper. I mean, and like the thing is with Adventism is that they're working on such a large scale.
They're so big,
like a big scale that we don't realize how powerful the outreach of the Adventist church is. The Adventist church has the biggest outreach on the planet as far as any religion.
Second biggest.
Well, right there with Catholicism.
Second biggest.
Catholicism is the only other religion that competes with Adventism as far as outreach.
They beating us.
No, we neck and neck.
You don't think they beating us?
We neck and neck. No, I'm serious.
I'm gonna have to look that data out, but I think that they're bigger than us. Okay,
you can check the stats, dog. We neck and neck as far as outreach and where every church is on the planet. Like you can find one everywhere. Okay. I didn't even and you don't realize until you start going to these other countries.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I tell you, I be traveling, dog.
You've been going places,
bro. I went to Brazil. I went in the mall in Brazil, in one of the biggest cities in Sao Paulo. I went in the mall, and there's flyers in the mall for an Adventist school, a K-12 Adventist school. Okay, in the mall, and this is the biggest mall in the whole state, in the whole country. Sao Paulo, Brazil is the largest city.
It's big, bro.
So no, like the population of Sao Paulo, Brazil, I'm telling y'all this. Like you can look it up. I didn't believe it till I got there. Is the population of Sao Paulo, Brazil has more people than New York and more people than LA. No. It's the largest city in the Americas. Yo. That's in North, like
Did it
Central
feel like
America.
That?
What?
Did it feel like that?
It didn't feel like more people lot of people though. Like it didn't. I mean, but so the thing is, I went we went for a show. We went on a performance. And this is the only city we did 2 shows in.
Okay.
Sao Paulo, Brazil. Okay? Yeah. I go into the biggest mall in this city. I'm serious. And I'm in there and it's Adventist flyer. It's not even just one, It's everywhere in the mall. There's an Adventist flyer for an Adventist K-12 school. It's an Adventist school. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a church on that school campus. I'm sure it's a big deal. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's huge around the world. My sister went to Nome, Alaska. There's one road in this entire city. There's a total of 2,000 in the entire city, okay? There's an Adventist church, okay? There's an Adventist church with a population of 2,000 people. There's an Adventist church in Nome, Alaska. All right? Okay. So it's like the outreach is on a outstanding level. You go to Africa, there's Adventist churches everywhere. And there's a culture that comes with that church, man. It's beautiful. It's like you can almost tell.
You mean there's an outreach culture that comes with our church?
There's an outreach culture that comes with our church that's untouchable. I'm telling you right now. Mm-hmm. Because as much as we say
it's outreach is definitely high up on our priority list.
No, it's the highest on the planet because like, okay, there's Catholic hospitals, there's Catholic schools, and I think that's the reason why Catholicism is right up there with Adventism is because they have an ecosystem like we do.
They have the same playbook.
Yeah, there's the same playbook where they have the school, they have the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah, there's Catholic hospitals. There's multiple ways to find Catholicism.
Yeah, sure.
Same thing with Adventism. There's multiple ways to find Adventism.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can find them outreach, giving away bread next door. You can find them, whatever, like
wherever, whenever you can find it.
You can find them at a hospital. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how many people I ran into in my job that happen to be Adventists? I never forget I was in Indiana and it was an African dude. He started the job. I was working at the hospital at the time. I think the hospital is Catholic too. It's funny. And,
I believe that.
And he's a little older, maybe like early 50s. He didn't know how to use his phone. He wanted me to help him with something, and I swiped through the front, and he had like the Adventist like Sabbath School quarterly app.
Dang.
And I was like, "Are you Seventh-day Adventist?" He's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, me
too."
Bro, that happens to me. And I told you, I just met a girl like 2 months ago.
That happens to you a lot. Bro.
That happens to me once a month.
Yeah, I don't get it that often.
Once a month.
But I'm also outside.
Once a month.
Also outside of those circles.
Once a month, I find somebody that is Adventist, and I didn't know. I met this person today, type deal, and we got to talking and realized, oh yeah, they Adventist too. They went to the church down the street from me. Like it is a massive network of people.
Yeah, it's a huge network, and that's definitely due to
the outreach,
the potency of our outreach. I agree.
Most potent outreach on the planet as far as any religion. I'm telling y'all.
I don't know if I agree with you there,
Most
but I will say that it is definitely a potent outreach for sure.
Most potent outreach. I will argue it all day. I'm telling you, man.
Okay.
Because it's just a culture in Adventism that
it's because you've benefited from it in a real way. I mean, that's true.
Yeah, and I've seen it over like outside of this country. As I said, I don't think people realize how big it is until they leave their hometown. Yeah, and they start, especially out of America.
They go out of right. Exactly. You go out of America, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute. You think, Jamaica, South America, Asia, China, Russia, like
it's like it's everywhere. It's like what the heck?
Yeah.
So man, like one of them things, man, where it's just like I don't think we're doing anything wrong. I really don't. I really don't.
That's one thing that we got right. Outreach is one thing that we have right.
Outreach is the one thing, if I could say Adventists were messed up, it's outreach. If there's one thing I have to say they got perfectly 100% like score on, it's outreach, man.
I think that I'll agree with you that we definitely did outreach right, but it's becoming less potent now.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense what I just said?
Nah, it's true. It's true. I mean, and what do you mean when you say potency? Like, are you saying the message is being diluted, or what?
No. The message has stayed the same, but I think that the effect has been diluted because we're spread. Our message is spread so thin that it doesn't provide any. It doesn't provide any like effect in our daily lives anymore. You know, it's like what am I thinking of? It's like it's just something we do now, you know. It's like vitamin D or whatever. It's like we just, whatever. I'll just pop a pill of vitamin D every day. But when you get your blood test back, it's like, okay, great, you got 3% extra vitamin D or whatever in your life. But that's like what does that even mean? That doesn't that doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah,
you know,
it doesn't apply to us directly.
I mean, you know,
that's what I'm saying.
So and I don't know. I don't know what that means for the Reformation that we're talking about, but I think that it's going to be a part of it for sure. Like I think that a part of the Reformation that is coming is going to have to be a concentration. I mean, it's going to have to be a concentration.
Yeah, but biblically the Bible talks about, everybody will know. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Remember, that's one of them verses, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like everybody has to know first. Before all this end of the days comes and all, like that's step one. Remember, they say it all the time. The people will know first. So I think that's the goal of Adventism, and they're sticking to their word. They're spreading.
That's something you were taught, not something you were read. So the next time you bring that conversation, I need you to come with a chapter and verse.
No, well, I could pull up a chapter and verse. I don't know it off the top of my head, but you know which verse I'm talking about.
No, I don't.
The people will know. Like there's a verse. Like I can pull it up right now.
Well, no, you can't pull it up right now. You can search your phone and figure it out, but you can't pull it up right now.
You know what? Off my brain,
so,
like what you?
So, but that's a different topic for another day. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about that here later. But anyway, so we've been going for quite some time on this.
I want to see the clock on this one. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we really got what the rabbit hole on this.
Yeah. So where can people find you, bro?
At mb.j on Instagram. That's my spot. Yep.
mb.j. All right. I'm also on Instagram. You can find me at Legend of Andrew. Anything else you got to say, man?
Nah, man. It's beautiful.
I think we really made it.
I'll see you on the streets, man. I'm gonna find you out there.